Zip 9 Hub.
This is our very first Google Meet. And in this presentation, we will be talking about what was included in your first module that I gave you. Ito. So normally, in a calculus class, I don't usually give this part. If you notice, this is titled Preliminaries pa, hindi pa siya talaga calculus. Because I know that majority of you ay hindi naman talaga galing sa STEM na senior high school. Sa STEM kasi, meron silang calculus na subject. That's why if they enroll a STEM course sa college, ina-assume talaga yun na dapat alam nila. Well, I know na hindi naman yun yung case. That's why I have to include a preliminary part. So masyadong mahaba ito actually because this is an entire course kung tutuusin. This is pre-calculus. This is mainly analytic geometry. So, mabilis ang ating presentation ngayon kasi binigay ko naman ito earlier. So, this meet is more of answering your questions kung may mga hindi kayo naintindihan. Anyways, bibilisan kong i-discuss yung mga parts na nandito. Okay ba? Pag sinabi kong okay, if I'm asking if it's okay, kindly press the raise hand button para alam ko. Baka mamaya ako lang palang nagsasalita dito. Yan. By the way, kapag nasa gitna na tayo at gusto niyo magtanong, mahirap kasi tignan yung chat box. So siguro, hindi siguro dapat sabay-sabay. You can use your microphone and ask me directly your question. So sa bawat part ng ating module, I will give you time to ask a question. So we start with the first one. This is very basic. Hindi naman talaga dapat ito tinuturo pa sa inyo. The real number system. Ano-anong mga klase ng mga numero, mga numbers ang kailangan alam natin in a calculus class to prepare us in a calculus class. So, hindi dapat 1, 2, 3 lang ang mga numbers na alam natin. And I made sure that I categorize them properly para pag sinabi ko yung pangalan, alam dapat natin sa utak natin yung mga laman ng mga numbers na yan. For example, if you see this symbol, sinulat ko na actually, that is not letter N. It's a Greek letter that is similar to letter N. That's the symbol for the set of natural numbers. Sometimes we call the set of natural numbers as the set of counting numbers. Actually, mas madali itong tandaan. Bakit siya tinatawag na counting numbers? Pag sinabing counting numbers, if you are asked to count your fingers, where do you start? Do you say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or do you say -1, -2, -3? Hindi naman. We start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. So, those are our counting numbers. Yun yung clue natin para sabihin na yung set na ito, it's just a set of counting numbers. So, we start with 1, 2, 3, and so on. So, this is an example of an infinite set. So, mind you, our notations for set, ito yung pangalan, pero ito yung laman. So, we enclose the elements, yung mga laman, yun yung tinatawag natin na elements. We enclose that with a pair of, what's this? Is this a parenthesis? Not. Is it a brace? Yes. It's called a curly brace. Pair of curly braces. What else? This is called the ellipsis, yung tatlong tuldok dyan. That indicates that the set is infinite. Otherwise, pag hindi natin nilagyan yan, yung laman ng set na ito ay tatlo lang. 1, 2, at saka 3. So, yun yung unang klase ng mga numbers na meron tayo. So, actually, kapag titignan natin yung history natin, ito yung unang klase ng mga numbers na na-discover or na-develop or invented. It's more of invented. Humans invented this one. Because before, ang kailangan lang naman nila sa buhay ay magbilang kung ilang araw nang nakalipas, or magbilang kung ilan yung bato, magbilang kung ilan yung anak na nila, or yung namatay na halaman, hayop. And then later on, as society progresses, naisip nila na kailangan nila ng number that would represent nothingness or emptiness. So actually, it's, I think, civilization ng Mayans. If you know the Mayan civilization, extinct na, wala na sila ngayon. Pero sila yung naka-invento ng, what's this? Character that would, a number that would express emptiness. At ginamit nila itong symbol na ito, yung letter O, or it's not letter O, it's 0. Paano? Before, yung shell sa seashore, sa dagat, sa mga sa sand, kapag pupulutin mo yung empty na shell, it would leave parang circular na mark sa sand, not sound, sorry. So, yun yung dahilan kung paano, or yung history kung bakit ang symbol ng 0 ay bilog. Kasi bilog, yung shape na makikita natin pag pinulot natin yung shell na nakabaon doon sa sand. So that's 0. If we take the union of the set of natural numbers and the set containing 0, meron na namang ibang pangalan ng set of numbers ang mabubuo, and we call that the set of whole numbers. So ang pinagkaiba lang ng set of whole numbers sa set of natural number ay yung presence ni 0. The set of natural numbers or counting numbers starts from 1, 2, 3, and so on. But the set of whole numbers starts with 0. So, idagdag lang natin yung mga laman ni set of natural numbers. So, yun yung whole numbers naman. Ayan, sino yung kararating? Si Ryan. Sino na yun? Labiano ba? I think. Welcome to our meet. Sana tayo. So, that's the set of whole numbers. And then, na-develop pa yung tao. They are towards a progressive community, sabi nila. That's why they need to think of something that would solve their problems. Kasi noon, yung mga Indians, for example, umuso yung loans, yung utang. And what is a number that would represent a deficit or your utang sa ibang tao? Yun yung dahilan kung bakit na-start ma-develop yung set of negative integers. So, yung symbol natin ng integers kasi ay the letter zeta. Hindi na naman yan Z kasi we are not using the English alphabet. That is a Greek letter, that's zeta, capital letter zeta. If we put a negative sign dyan sa superscript, as a superscript, we are referring to the negative integers. And negative integers are, the elements are just the same. It's very similar with the set of natural numbers, kaya lang negative. So, i-negate lang natin yung mga laman ng natural numbers. So, we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. If we combine, ito naman, the set of integers, negative integers, and whole numbers, yun na yung tinatawag natin na set of integers in general. So, wala nang sign dyan. Basta zeta lang ito. So, ibig sabihin, ang laman nito ay yung combined na elements ng dalawang set na ito. So we have negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, plus ellipsis na naman. So it is extending indefinitely to both directions, left at saka right. So kulang na ang ating board. Now, what are other numbers na hindi kasama sa set of integers? Yun yung set of fractions. Yeah. So, we just symbolize that with capital letter F. Alam naman natin siguro yung ating fractions, 1/2 to 1/4. So, sometimes we can put them into decimal forms so that 1/2 is 0.5, 1/4 is 0.25, and so on, so forth. If we take the union, I use a term here, union. Anong ibig sabihin ng union? That is an operation with sets. Operation yan ng sets. So, dahil hindi numbers naman ang ina-add natin, sets, hindi natin pwedeng basta sabihin addition na lang. If we are referring to combining the elements of 2 or more sets, ang tawag doon ay union. Union. So, yun talaga yun. Ano yung tawag sa set na yun? Yun yung tinatawag natin na set of rational numbers. This is almost letter Q. So kapag pinagsama natin lahat ng mga natural numbers, 0, negative negative integers, at saka lahat ng fractions na mabubuo natin, yun yung tinatawag natin na set of rational numbers. Dahil kung hindi yan rational numbers, isa siyang irrational number. So by symbol, yung differential lang nila, merong prime. We call this prime, Q prime. Ano ba yan? Apostrophe yata pag sa English. Apostrophe. Ngayon, when is a number, paano natin malalaman kung rational siya or irrational? I explained this one in your module. Rational siya kapag may i-express natin yan as a ratio, kaya rational, the root word is ratio, we can express them as a ratio of two numbers. Ang number na 2, bakit siya rational? Because 4 and 2, na kapag i-divide mo, or gawin mo siyang ratio, or gawin mo siyang fraction, that is equal to 2. And that's not the only example. Marami pa. 100 over 50. That's 2. So 2 is rational. How about 0.333 and so on? Is this rational? Yes, because we can think of a number na kapag dinivide natin, it's equal to 0.333 and so on. It is, anong tawag natin sa decimal na ito kapag hindi siya natatapos? Non-terminating. Paano kapag yung lahat ng laman ng decimal na yun ay pare-parehas? Repeating siya. This is a repeating and non-terminating decimal. Kapag yun yung case, that is actually a rational number. Dahil kapag hindi, tawagin natin siyang irrational number. Bakit ang pi ay irrational? Kasi hindi tayo makakaisip ng number, ng dalawang number, na kapag dinivide natin, it's equal to the value of pi. Approximately, pi is 2.14, 16, and so on. Nandyan sa unang page ng module ninyo, value na pi. The closest fraction that could approximate pi is 22 over 7 yata, 22 over 7. So it's a ratio. Pero hindi natin pa rin pwedeng tawagin rational itong si pi kasi it's just an approximation. Kailangan saktong-sakto siya sa value ng pi. Ngayon, pag i-combine natin yung elements ng dalawang to, rational and irrational number, hindi ko na siya masulat, wala nang space. Ang tawag doon ay set of real numbers. Yun yung pinakamalaking set. Although sa inyong module, sinulat ko na meron pa actually mas malaki yung complex numbers. However, in calculus kasi, we are only concerned with the set of real numbers. So, hindi na natin problema sa ngayon ang mga complex numbers. So, hindi siya kasama sa topic na ito, sa course na ito. So, just a review. Pag sinabi pala nating real, it includes all kinds of numbers except the complex number. So, kung fraction man yan, mapa-fraction man yan, mapa-number lang yan, 1, 2, 3, or 0, negative, or negative na fraction, those are all real numbers. Pero kapag may I, for example, 2i, this is not a real number. That is a complex number. So, yun lang naman ang tinitingnan natin. Basta hindi siya complex, real yan. It's a real number. Pero syempre, along the way, dapat alam nyo rin i-differentiate ito. Kung sinabi kong 1 is a whole number, true or false? Paano kayo kaya sasagot? You can use our chat box. Ayan. True or false lang. 1 is a whole number. True. Wala kang sad. Whole number, nandyan na nga, di ba? True? Sigurado kayo? Yes, actually it's true. Ayan, late na yung iba. So, yun, the set of real numbers. Any question? May tanong ba? 42 lang tayo, wala nang dumagdag. None. None daw, sabi ni, none. Kasi basic lang naman to, kayang-kaya nila to. Erase ko na. Okay, let's proceed with our distance formula. Let's skip our Cartesian plane. Alam niyo naman siguro yun. A Cartesian plane is just a place for us in mathematics to plot a point. And a point is a pair of number. So, normally, a point is of the form A, B. So, yung A, kahit anong real number yan. Yung B, kahit anong real number pa rin yan. Normally, we refer to the first number as the x-coordinate or the first coordinate, and then the second one as the first or the second, second or y-coordinate. Hindi ko na ginagamit yung term na ordinate, di ba? Noon, nung high school kayo, ginagamit natin yung abscissa at saka ordinate. Abscissa for the x-coordinate and ordinate for the y-coordinate. Do not be confused. Ordinate. O siya mag-start. Hindi siya coordinate. Ordinate. So, the Cartesian plane is just a way for us to plot a point. So, alam natin mag-plot ng points. Now, how do we compute? If we are given 2 points, how do we compute the distance between it? So, remember, ang distance laging positive yan. It's always positive. Ay, ganito na lang. Gusto kong may isang volunteer na magbigay ng point. So, dalawang tao. Will you please give your own point? And then let's try to compute for the distance between them. Sige na. 0.23. So siguro pangalanan natin siyang A. By the way, we can name points. Nawala na, hindi ko na nakita. Ano yung isa? Pakisend nga ulit. Isa na yun? 2, 3, at saka 5. Now, ano na yung distance formula? Distance. The distance is the square root of. Para hindi kayo malito, ito, difference yan ng x-coordinates. Ito, difference yan ng mga y-coordinates. Alin ang mauuna? Yung ito o yung ito? Anong x-coordinate yung mauuna? Actually, it doesn't matter. Ang importante, kung ano man yung sequence ng pag-subtract nyo dito, ganun din yung gawin nyo dito para mas sigurado. So, we are actually squaring this one. That's our formula. So, if we start subtracting 2 minus 5, 2 minus 5, dapat yung pag-subtract din natin ay ganyan. 3 minus 4. So, simplifying, arithmetic na yung susunod. 2 minus 5, that is negative 3 plus negative 1. That's the difference of 3 and 4. With squaring the numbers here, we have 9 and 1. So, our answer is square root of 10. Ito, tingin ko maraming magkakamali dito. I know that you know how to compute the distance. However, medyo nahihirapan tayo mag-express ng final answer. In calculus, this is an okay answer. Okay na yan. Huwag nyo na siyang i-estimate. Square root of 10 is our final answer. Mas kompleto siya kapag lagyan natin siya ng squared. Units lang, kasi distance. Units. Hindi naman specified kung ano yung unit na ginagamit natin. So, kung wala, just say units. So, hindi na natin kailangang i-round yan yung square root of 10 na yan. Because if you do that, then we should use the symbol approximately. But why do you have to put the approximation if we have the final and exact answer? So, that is distance formula. Any violent reaction, kung namali ako, sabihin niyo, naman siguro. Tapos sunod, ano yung susunod dyan? May tanong ba? You can ask your questions now. Anyone? Anyone from the group? So, since walang nagtatanong, I take it as naintindihan na, fully understood yan. So, baka meron pa sa inyo hindi marunong mag-subtract at saka mag-square ng number. Hindi ko na naman na yan ituturo kasi this is a calculus class. Actually, hindi pa nga ito kasama dapat sa calculus dapat. Alam niyo na. Alam mo. Yes, Mr. Jester. You can put your microphone. Or hindi lang kita naririnig. Sandali, naka-mute yata. Hindi naman. May tanong ba? You're raising your hand?
Sir, napindot lang.
Wala. Shall we continue? Okay ba? Ayun, baka okay pala yung nag-raise ng hand. Sige. Next is a very important concept. Ito, gusto ko malinaw ito sa inyo. Because later on, in my experience, yung taon na ba ako nagtuturo ng ganito, laging dito sila naman. Pag kakita nila ng numbers like 2/0, agad-agad yung sinusulat nila ay 0. This is wrong. Wrong. Emphasize ko ito ay isang kasalanan. Mortal sin ang pagsabi na yung isang number na dinidivide sa 0 ay 0. Yun. Mali po yun. Ang 0 ang sagot kapag i-divide mo siya sa kahit anumang number na hindi kaparehas ng 0. 0 divided by, so if we put that mathematically, or in English actually, 0 divided by a non-zero number. So ang denominator natin ay any number, any real number except 0. Ang sagot nito ay 0. So, yan. Welcome sa papapasok. Let's continue. Yung 0 dito ay nasa numerator, tandaan natin yan, at yung denominator ay non-zero. Kapag yun yung nangyari, yes, that is correct. The answer is 0. Well, alam natin yung 1/1 ay 1. So, ano ba ang sagot? Ano ba ang sagot kapag nangyari yan? Merong non-zero number, i-divide natin ng 0. Nakalagay sa ating module, no? Our answer should be undefined. Bakit? Bakit siya undefined? I believe I explained that one, pero very mathematical ba? Ganito kasi yan. If we assume that this expression has a value, so let us assume lang this is a basic proving in mathematics. So, gagamitin natin yung tinatawag nila na method of contradiction. So, to prove that this is undefined, we will assume na it is defined. So, if it's defined, then dapat may sagot siya na some number. We can name that any number. So, siguro M, kasi M before N. So, kung may sagot yan, then it follows that if you cross-multiply that one, we have N is equal to the product of 0 at saka M. Pero, meron bang number M na kapag minultiply mo sa 0, ang sagot non-zero? Remember in our definition for N, kailangan non-zero siya. Wala. The answer is none. It's a contradiction. This is a false equation because there's no such thing, number such as M, multiplied to 0, which give us M. So, undefined talaga yan. It's a special case kapag yung numerator at saka denominator ay parehas na 0. It is still undefined, pero may special term lang tayo na gagamitin. Ano yung term na yon? It is, indeterminate. It is parang klase tuloy yun. Klase. Parang klase siya ng undefined. Pero special lang yung term kasi special yung kanyang case. If we assume, yung tulad ng ginawa natin dito na proving, if we assume na may value yan, so pilitin natin may value siya, it's m. Then, by cross multiplication, we have 0. So, syempre, parang 1 yung denominator yan, no? Parang yung ginawa ko dito. So, 0 times 1 ay 0, of course, and 0 times m. Meron bang number na makakapag-satisfy dito? Actually, meron. And actually, kahit anong number na ilagay natin sa m, it would make the equation true. So, halimbawa, 0 is equal to 0 times, ano yung gusto niyong m? 1/2? Yes, it's correct. 0 times 1/2 is 0 is equal to 0. Or kapag palitan natin ang 1/2 ng 1 million, kahit gaano pa yan kalaki, 1 million times 0 is 0. Negative 5 billion times 0 is still 0. So maraming numbers, m, ang pwedeng mag-satisfy nito. Dito, walang m ang magsasatisfy equation. Undefined. Ito undefined but of a bit different reason. Masyadong marami naman siya. So it's exactly the opposite. Walang solution, sobrang daming solution. By sobrang daming solution, I mean there are infinitely many solutions. So it's not possible to name them all. The solution of m. Questions? Magtanong lang kayo. Alam kong naguguluhan kayo. Feeling ko hindi ko kayo talaga naririnig. Try ko nga. Any question ba? May nagsasalita ba?
Wala, sir. None, sir.
None, sir.
Ayun.
Wala po, sir.
Yung microphone.
None, sir.
Sigurado kayo?
Good, sir.
Alam ka.
Yes, sir.
Yun yung i-on yung camera niyo para makita din namin kayo.
Haggard, sir.
Wala. Hindi ko magalit. What are the review? 0 over a number. 0. A non-zero number divided by 0 is undefined, and then 0 over 0 is indeterminate. So, hindi nyo dapat ginagamit yung logic na ito. Yes. 1 over 1 is 1, or 2 over 2 is 1, or 1 million over 1 million is 1. If you are dividing a non-zero, ito yung kasi meron ang non-zero, so hindi kasama ang zero dyan. I-divide mo ulit siya sa kahit anong number na non-zero pa rin, yung sagot ay laging 1. Pero kapag eksaktong 0 yan, indeterminate yung tawag natin. So later on, actually sa majority ng calculus topics na gagamit, lumilitaw ito. At gusto ko na kapag nakita nyo ito, or ito, hindi nyo isusulat na 0 or 1. Kasi mali yun. Ang sagot, ito, yung words na ito. It is, sabihin nyo lang, it is undefined or it's indeterminate. It's in indeterminate form. Ayan. Sunod, ano pa? Functions. Punta na tayo sa functions. Ayan. Medyo mahaba-haba ito. Pero ano nga ba ang functions? Maraming usapan pag functions yung topic. Actually, dapat diniscuss ito sa Math 21. Dinidiscuss doon kung ano yung function. In fact, yung module na ito, it's galing sa Math 21. So, this should be a review. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng function? Equation ba agad-agad yung naiisip natin pag sinabi natin function? So, ang pinaka-basic niya na definition is a set. Set of what? Set of points. So, hindi lang siya basta numbers, pero dapat ang laman niya ng set na yan ay points. So, I could think of like 1 and 1. Nadagdagan natin 2 points. 2, 4, 3, 9. Pero ang laman ng set ay 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. Function ba yan? Hindi. Kasi hindi naman points ang kanyang mga laman. So, ito lang ang pwedeng function. Kahit anong points ba na laman ng isang set, automatic ba yan na function na i-consider natin? The answer is no, kasi merong condition na kailangan i-satisfy. It is a function, first, if it's a set containing points, and then second condition na kailangan natin i-meet. Dapat, sa bawat points na laman, wala dapat na uulit na x coordinate. I'm pertaining to the first coordinate of each point. So I left the meeting. Anyway, let's continue. Ano bang ibig kong sabihin doon? So halimbawa, meron akong ganito. Tapos yung isang point biglang 2, 5. I-consider ba natin na function yan? First condition, yes, it's a set containing points. Points naman sila lahat. It's okay. Kaya lang, sa second condition, hindi na siya na-satisfy. If you notice, merong naulit dyan na 2. So, hindi siya function. Anong tawag natin dyan? Set of points pa rin naman. Ang tawag natin dyan ay relation. So, relation lang siya. So, ibig sabihin, ang function, it's just a special kind of a relation. Kasi nasatisfy yung rule na wala dapat x na uulit. Now, how do we name? So, this is not a function. This is just a relation. Ito, valid yan na function. How do we name a function? Ito, marami ding nagkakamali dito. Naming lang of functions. We can name them by small letters. Ulitin ko ha, small letters. So, ganyan. This is a notation of a function. So, ganyan lang. F of x is equal to the set containing the 3 points. Ito, stricto ako dito. Pag kinopya nyo yan, tapos ang sinulat nyo ay capital letter F of x, tapos kahit kumpleto pa yan, hindi sila parehas. So in mathematics, for a specific function, hindi natin ginagamit yung capital letters. Iba ang ibig sabihin nito sa mathematics. Pag gumamit ka ng capital letter to mean a function, you are not pertaining actually to a specific function but a family of functions. Hindi natin yan sakop sa ngayon. So, hindi natin yan ginagamit. Or kung kunyari merong isang function, ang pangalan niya ay g of x, tapos kinopya mo, ginawa mo siyang capital G of x, mali ka na. Kasi ang pangalan ng function ay small letter g of x. So, how do we read it? G of x. So, that's how we name functions. So, mag-isip ka kahit anong letra yan. H of x, T of x, Q of x. Importante, small letters ang mga yan. So, anyway, notations lang naman ito. Now, given a function, hindi lang iisa ang paraan ng pagsusulat. So, yung sumunod na part ng inyong module ay ways of writing a function. So, what are the different ways of writing a function? Una na dyan yung table. So, madali lang ang table. Gawin lang natin siyang table. So, maybe the first row contains the x coordinate and the second row contains the y coordinate. So, each point, we write the coordinates. So, the first point is 1, 1, 2, 4, and then 3, 9. So, this is F. So, I can write that way. Pwede din namang vertical. Ano yung sa Tagalog? Yung pakalang. So, F, pwedeng pa ganyan. So, X, Y, it's okay. This is still a table. Ang partner ni 1 ay 1 pa rin. Partner ni 2 ay 4. At ang partner ni 3 ay 9. So, table form pa rin silang parehas. Ano pa? How else can we write a function? Use your chat box. We have the set notation. By definition, a function is a set. And then we have also a table. We can use a table. What else? Yes, mapping. So I can see you wrote their mapping. Paano natin yung ginagawa? to use the mapping method, just draw two ovals. Hindi naman kailangan perfect circle yan. And then, yung sa gitna, normally nilalagay natin yung pangalan ng function. Tapos, itong oval na ito, this will include all the x coordinates. So, x coordinates yan. So, capital X, meaning x coordinates. So, ano yung mga x coordinates natin? We have only 3, 1, 2, at saka 3. And then, the y coordinates includes the numbers 1, 4, 9. Bakit siya tinawag na mapping? Because we are mapping each x coordinate to the corresponding y coordinates. So, how do we map them? We actually use a one-sided arrow. The arrow is facing to the right. Tama? Right? So, that is how we use a mapping. Ano pa? What else? Set notation, table in a mapping. What's the last one? The last one is the equation method. And unfortunately, this is mostly how we write a function. So sa lahat ng function na may encounter natin later, it's actually of the form of an equation. Now, how do we do this? Paano naging equation ang isang set or ang isang table o ang isang table? The key there is to investigate. Ito yung mga x coordinates natin, di ba? X sub 1 siguro ang tawag natin sa first na x coordinate. X sub 2 ang pangalawa at x sub 3 ang pangatlo. Same true with the y coordinates. We will name this one as y sub 1, y sub 2, at saka y sub 3. Now, for us to be able to write this set in equation method, kailangan i-investigate natin. So, hindi basta-basta. I-investigate natin yung relationship ng x at saka y. Ito ba ang kinalaman ng mga y coordinates sa x coordinate? Parang depende ba? Ang value ba ng y ay nakadepende sa value ng x coordinates? The answer is yes. If we take a look, it seems that yung mga y coordinates natin, for example, ito 1, 4, 9. Ito, obvious, no? Dito sa second, the second and the third points, we notice that 9 is the square of 3. 4 is the square of 2, and 1, of course, is the square of 1. So, that relationship is applicable sa lahat ng ating points. So, yung observation na yun yung actually yung gagawin nating equation. It seems that all y coordinates can be generated by squaring the x coordinate. So, itong sinulat ko na y, it is representing all the y coordinates. Itong sinulat ko na x, it's representing all the x coordinates. And the relationship is that the y coordinate, each y coordinate is actually the square of the x coordinate. So, ito yung equation, ito yung function natin. Paano natin isusulat yung pangalan na f of x? F of x is just the same as y. So, yan. So, minsan, isusulat natin to as f of x equals x squared, or isusulat natin yan as y equal to x squared. Parehas lang yan, na iba lang sa notation. F of x is the same as y. Now, are we done writing the function na ganyan? Hindi dapat ganyan lang. Bakit? Kasi meron lang tayong tatlong x coordinate, meron din lang tayong tatlong y coordinate. Pag ito lang ang tinitingnan natin, we might think, or other people might think, na lahat ng numbers, square natin, yun yung kanyang y coordinate. But the actual function only, or contains only three points. Yun yung tinatawag natin na restricting a function. So, bakit natin i-restrict? Kasi limited lang naman, finite lang naman yung laman ng ating set. So, yung x dito, so how do we limit it? Dagdag lang natin, no, sa dulo or sa right side ng function, si x dapat mas mababa sa 4, kaya 3, Pero dapat mas mataas sa 0. That is one way of writing it down. Isulat ko ulit para mas malinaw. Delete ko na lang ito. Yan. Ulitin natin. Ano na yung sinabi natin? Y is equal to x squared, but we do not stop here. Kasi kapag ganito lang, ibig sabihin, yung laman ng function na yan, it's a point containing infinitely many points kasi walang restriction. Pero dahil tatlo lang ang laman, i-restrict natin. Yung x na tinutukoy natin dito ay 1 to 3. Paano natin sasabihin na 1 to 3? Dapat less than 4 siya, but greater than 0. Tapos, x must be an element of the natural numbers or the element of integers or element of whole numbers pare-parehas lang yan. So, there's a comment there. So, that's how we... How else? There's more with this one. So, hindi lang naman ito yung isa lang na paraan. Hindi naman. So, we can be creative. Pwede din natin sabihin na x is less than or equal to 3 but greater than or equal to 1, still x should be an element of the set of natural numbers. Yeah. Kung hindi natin ilagay yan, at ito lang, baka iisipin naman nila na ang x pwedeng 1 point something kasi basta nasa gitna siya ng 1 at saka 3. 1.5 is a number between 1 and 3. But if we look back at the actual function, hindi kasama yung mga fraction. So kung tanggalin natin ang restriction, ano yung sinabi natin kanina? Kunyari, y equal to x squared lang. Ano talaga yung ibig sabihin? How can we imagine this one? This is a set containing infinitely many points. So, pwedeng negative 1, 1, kasi the square of negative 1 is 1. The square of negative 4 is 16, positive 16. Pwede ding 1/2. Fraction. So, the square is 1/4. What else? Marami tayong pwedeng ilagay dito. Kasi walang restriction na nalagay. Basta si x, square mo, sila ang mag-partner. So, infinitely many points. So, kapag ito lang sinulat natin, ito ang ibig sabihin. Kaya lang, kapag restricted, kapag finite set, kailangan nating ilagay yung restriction. Okay. I-add muna natin. Let me, or you can ask your questions. You can ask your questions if you want to. Hello, andyan pa ba kayo? Okay pa ba? Questions? Nahihiya lang ba kayo or ina-underestimate ko lang kayo? It's okay to ask a question. Or kung may tanong kayo dyan sa module kasi hindi ko natintigan yung module niyo. Para ma-shortcut natin. Any question with your module? Sa part na ito muna. Wala? Sige. By the way, I don't think na matatapos natin lahat ito, no? Yung first na module, mahaba-haba pa yun. So siguro, magbigay tayo ng time to stop. So kayo ang magsabi. So kayo ang mag-suggest kung anong oras natin ihinto. You kindly use your chat box para alam ko rin. Anyone? Can respond? Okay, 7:30 then. Okay, sige. So we still have approximately 30 minutes to continue. So whatever we finish dito, yun doon na lang natin siya ituloy. So actually, ang susunod dyan ay function evaluation. Function evaluation. Ano ibig sabihin ng ito? How do we evaluate a function? So magbigay ako ng examples ng function. Isipin ko lang to. Siguro x cubed minus 2x squared plus 1. Tapos yung isa ay 1 over x minus. So we are given two functions here. Let us evaluate the functions at different x values. So ang ibig sabihin ng function evaluation, bibigyan ka ng isang x value, tapos hanapin natin kung ano yung partner niya. Ibig sabihin, as a point, we are looking for the y coordinate corresponding to that x coordinate. So, basically, kapag ganyan ang tanong, 2, tapos ano ang partner niya sa function na f? Sa function na f, kapag 2 ang value ng x value, ano yung corresponding na y value? But there is a better way to write that one. Hindi natin yan nakikita. Nakikita natin sa isang math exam ay ito. Ito yung tanong. F of 2. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Ito ang tanong. Kung ang x value ay 2, ano ang kanyang corresponding na y value? Saan? Anong function ang gagamitin natin? Ito. Kaya nabigay yung pangalan ng function. Kasi hindi natin hahanapin dito, pero dapat ito, sa function f. So, how do we evaluate a function? Function evaluation lang to. F of 2, this is purely substitution. So, sa lahat ng x na makikita natin sa right part ng function, palitan natin ng 2. Yun lang ang ibig sabihin. Ulitin natin, sa lahat ng x na nakikita natin, palitan natin ng 2. Siyempre, yung operations like subtraction, addition, at saka yung powers will remain. So, kumbaga, ang function kasi, kapag tinanggal natin lahat ng x at palitan natin ng, say, a pair of parentheses. So, x cubed maging parenthesis cube minus, sundan natin yung ating function. X cubed sa parenthesis cube minus 2 parenthesis squared plus 1. So, plus 1 lang yun. It's just a constant. Tapos, sa loob ng parenthesis natin na yan, ilagay natin yung x. Ano bang, saan ba natin ini-evaluate yung function na yan? At x equal to 2. So, palitan lang natin ng 2. And then, do the arithmetic. So, power of 2, that's 8. Hindi na naman siya 6, it's 8. 2 cubed is 8 minus twice the square of 2, that's 4, plus 1. Simplified as, so 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1. 8 minus 8 is 0. The final answer is 1. So f of 2 is 1. Kaya yung point natin ay 2, 1 at f. So at f ito sa function f, ang partner nito ay 1. Because, again, a function is a set of points. Nataon na yung pagkakasulat ng function ay in equation method. Yan. Let us evaluate the same function but at different x value. Negative naman para maiba. Negative, ano kaya? Negative 3. So, ang mapapalitan lang ito, so balik natin sa skeleton, tanggalin ko lahat yan, it's the same function, na iba lang yung ating x value. So, ibig sabihin, palitan din lang natin yung nasa loob nito. So, gawin lang natin negative 3. Negative 3. Yan. Squaring negative 3, we have 9 minus 2. Okay lang natin, i-simplify muna natin ito para hindi tayo ma-confuse. The square of negative 3 is positive 9. plus 1. And then, we multiply muna. Bago natin i-simplify all at once. So minus, the product of 2 and 9 is 18 plus 1. The difference of 9 and 18, we start from 9, so that is a negative number. Yes, Mr. Bagbisan, you're raising your hand.
Sir, I guess it's cube po yung una.
Cube pala. Sorry. Yes. Ano yung kanina? Tama ba yun? 2.
So yes.
Tama, di ba?
Wait,
Plus
sir.
2 is 8. Yeah. So it should be, ano dapat? Negative 3 cube is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. That is negative, 27. So, very good. Thank you for correcting. Ganun dapat. Negative 27 minus 18 plus 1. Ayan, baka may mako-confuse dyan. Paano natin ito i-simplify? Ayan. The answer is negative and then add the absolute values. So 27 plus 18, that's 37, 47, 45. Negative 45. So negative 45, may plus 1 pa tayo dun Plus 1, the answer is negative 40, 4. Okay ba? Gamitin din natin yung G. Let us evaluate G. Gumamit tayo ng fraction, 1/2. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? I-substitute natin ang 1/2 sa x, sa right part ng function G. So, wala na tayong pakialam sa f ngayon, sa f of x. We are focusing on G of x. So, we copy the function, except that we do not copy x. I-copy natin kung saan natin siya gusto i-evaluate. So, substitution yung tawag natin doon. We substitute 1/2 in place of x. So, yun. 1/2 minus, meron na tayong fraction. 1/2, bawasan natin ng 2. The answer must be a negative number kasi lesser minus higher. Pero ano yung 1/2 minus 2? Do you have a calculator? May calculator ba kayo? Dito sa calculus class, okay lang na gumamit ng calculator. Ano yung calculator ko?
Negative 1.5.
Dali lang. Ayan. I just like to point out something. Gamit ng ating calculators. But yes, you're correct. Negative 3.
3, 2. 2 halves.
Anong sabi? Okay, 1/2 minus 2 ay negative 3. Tama? Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, meron pang 1 dun sa numerator. Paano yan? Reciprocal, di ba? Tama ba? Or, kapag gusto niyo yung long cut, ituro lang 3 figures nyo, the numerator, multiply it with the denominator na fraction ang denominator. We change division to multiplication, and then multiply the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is negative 2/3. Times 1 lang naman yan, our final answer is negative 2/3. Well, I can use my calculator actually. So sometimes it's time consuming to be doing this one. It's okay sa akin na dito pa lang, we evaluate it and give the final answer. So bahala na kayo kung hindi nyo alam gawin yan. So, it's okay for me to use a calculator. So I hope if you want to buy a calculator, ayan. Nakikita nyo ba yung calculator ko? Can you calculator? Or wala? Ako lang ang nakikita nyo.
Ikaw lang, sir. Ikaw lang naman, sir.
Sandali. Nakikita niyo ang I am sharing a calculator dapat. Wala. Bakit parang isa lang ang estudyante ko dito? Nasaan yung iba?
Sir, wala po.
Sir, wala.
Meron po, sir.
Wala po sa amin, sir.
Po, sir.
Yan. Wala yung graphics.
Wala, sir.
Diba dyan? Yung iba meron
Wala
ba?
po, sir.
Wala po,
Nasaan
sir.
yung nagsabing meron?
Wala po sa akin,
Bakit
sir.
kaya?
Sir, baka po sa CP. CP yung gamit, wala po sa amin.
Ano kaya? Try ko palitan. I'm going to share my entire screen. How about this one? Nakikita niyo?
Wala pa rin, sir.
Wala pa rin po, sir.
Sige, gamitin ko na lang ang aking physical calculator. Ayan yun na. Yeah. When you want to buy your calculator, importante ito, tignan nyo na naka-natural display yan. So, mas gusto natin yung ganitong calculator. Natural display yan. Kaya kung mag-solve tayo ng mga expressions involving fractions, lalabas talaga yung fraction na part. So also, you notice na merong button dito that would anong tawag dito? That would let us input a fraction. So ito, this one, ito. So pwede nating pindutin agad to at ilalabas na yung negative 2/3. So nawala yung process na ito. That's okay. Nasa calculus class naman tayo. Ayan, so the value of 1/2 or the g of 1/2 is negative 2/3. May tanong ba sa function evaluation? Questions?
None, sir.
Sir.
None, sir.
Sigurado kayo function evaluation. O baka bigay ng sarili yung function. Sige. Dahil mahirap na mag-encode, sabihin na lang, isulat ko. Any volunteer? Anyone from the group? We have 36 students. Ayan. Wala lang magtawag. Si Mr. Michael Jan Laviano. Are you with us? Or you're with us in spirit?
Yes, sir.
Sige, you give us your own example of a function. So, nasa sa inyo rin kung ano yung gusto mong ipangalan.
G of X.
G na naman, wag naman. Yung iba.
Ay, sige, sir. X of X.
X of X.
Ay, joke, sir. Z of X.
Confusing na yan. Ano?
Z of X, sir.
Sige. Pabigyan. Z of X
Is equal to 3x cubed
3x cubed
minus 2/3 x squared plus 2x minus 5.
final na yan. Ito na.
Yes po.
Okay. Ikaw din na mag-solve kasi ikaw ang nagbigay. Z of negative 1/4.
Hala, sir, wait lang po.
Ha?
Sir, wait lang po.
Okay, the rest of the class, kung hindi yung sagutin, you can also try. So you get a scrap paper and try to solve. And then let's compare your answers later if we have the same answers. Ako magsasagot din ako. So we have 3x cubed minus 2/3 x squared. Is that squared? Squared ang sinabi mo dito?
Yes po, sir.
Plus 2x minus 5. Dahil may calculator ako, magturo na lang ako sa inyo ng shortcut. Mas maganda sana kasi sa digital na calculator, pero hindi naman lahat ay nakikita kasi, kaya ito na lang. So ano yung una kong ginawa? Function evaluation na function in our calculator. The first thing that we do is to input the right part of the function. Kung ano yung function. So mahaba yan, 3x cubed minus 2/3 x squared plus 2x plus 5. I-encode natin ito sa ating calculator. Paano natin gagawin yun? So if you notice, na-encode ko naman yung function na yan. Nasaan yung x dito? May x dito. I'm not sure if focus. Basta may x dito sa part ng calculator. Pero kung diretsong pindutin yan, hindi yan mag-i-x kasi naka-red yan. That means we need to press first alpha. Ito, may alpha dito. And then x. Mai-encode nyo yung x. Lagyan nyo siya lang ng power na 3. So, encode. So, dapat yung mai-encode nyo, that's the first step. And then, the next step is to press the function in your calculator na nakasulat CALC. Calc function. Ito. Yan. So, after encoding, ang gagawin ko, pipindutin ko itong calc function. Ang ibig sabihin kasi ng calculate. Calculate that encoded expression sa x value na specify pa natin, hindi pa natin na-encode. So, ipipress ko ha. Ano yung lalabas pag i-press ko ito? Na ito. Pressing, yan, x question mark. Ano ibig sabihin x question mark? Anong x value daw gusto natin i-evaluate yung expression na in-encode natin? Well, we want it at negative 1/4. So, ang gagawin natin, i-encode natin yung negative 1/4 na diretsyo. So, negative 1 over 4. So, saan ko pinindot yung over, yung divided by? Itong parang fraction na part na ito. So, pinindot ko yung negative dito. Negative 1. Siyempre dyan, dito 1 over 4. So, na-encode na yung negative 1/4. Nakalinya lang siya. And then, press nyo lang yung equal sign. Lalabas yung sagot in fraction. So, yun na yung sagot ng function evaluation na ito. Negative 1,073 over 192. So, alam na natin yung sagot. Pero, kung ayaw yung maniwala, solve natin manual. Do we have the same answer? Negative 1,073 over 192? Nakuha niyo ba?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes
po,
po,
sir.
So, we do not have to show it here. Tama?
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's function evaluation. Tanong? May tanong ba kayo? Function evaluation, questions? You can ask questions. There are only 36 na. Bakit nag-give kaya yung iba? Well, syempre, ang examples natin ngayon ay puro polynomial. Puro ganyan lang. Syempre, maraming ibang klase ng functions. There are a lot of types of functions, pero sa susunod pa yun. That's the content of the next part of the module. So sa ngayon, let's work on simpler things. Let me give another, so last na to siguro. Let me give you another function, h of
Sir,
x.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, doon po
Ano yun?
sa sagot, hindi ba pwedeng mag-decimal? Kasi or talagang
Ano yung decimal form niya?
Negative 5.58. 85. Continuous na, sir.
Oh, sige pa. Bakit?
Negative 5,
Hindi ba mahirap yan?
41,
And then after,
7.
yan, di ba mahaba? And then the next question is that exactly the same as this one? Or it's just an approximation?
Sir, no, i-divide. No, i-divide. Data answer. Isumat lang, sir.
Kaya nga, ang negative 5.885416667.
Yes, sir.
Hindi the same ba? Kunyari, ano yung sagot mo? Negative 5 point?
58, 85, 41, 66, 67.
58. Sige, sabi
85, 41, 66, 667.
ilang 6 yun?
4, sir.
4 na 6. Tapos?
7.
7. Ngayon, if this is the correct answer, pag i-multiply natin dyan, it should be exactly the same as 1073. Tama ba? Parang ano lang yan eh. n divided by 2 ay 5. How do we check? If we multiply 5 and 2, the answer is 10. Tama ba?
Sir, yes.
O, di dapat ganun din yung logic natin dito. Kung equal sila, pag multiply natin ito dito, exactly yun yan dapat. Sige nga, i-multiply mo. Is it the same? Actually, yes, it's the same. Pero nag-ground actually itong calculator. And if you look at it, mas elegant naman ito tignan kasi kaysa dyan. And for most cases, itong nilalagay natin dito, actually meron pang kasunod yan. Nag-stop lang dyan sa calculator kasi finite lang naman yung length ng calculator. So it cannot really give us all the numbers here. That's why we still stick with the fraction part. So syempre, yung mga sagot na 10 over 2, hindi naman yan yung gusto natin kasi pwede pa siyang i-simplify. Ang sagot lang natin dyan ay 5. Dito kasi, hindi na natin pwedeng i-simplify yan. Simplified form na yan. So, we stick with this form of answer. Yes.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
wag natin. So, ito, fraction lang ang ating sagot. Unless we can still simplify it, then we proceed simplifying it. Ayan. Anymore? I have one point to discuss, tapos yun na. We end the meeting today. To that topic. I'll give you another question, or I mean another function. I'm going to name it katulad nung kanina. Siguro 2 over dx, x lang siguro, minus 5. So, we have that function now. My question is, what is h of 7? Ano yung sagot natin? Madali lang naman tignan yan. Substitute. Sabihin nyo lang sa akin yung sagot. Yes?
1 po, sir.
What's the answer? 1. Because over, what's that? 7 minus 5 is 2 over 2 is equal to h of 5. Answer?
The function is undefined.
Undefined, sir.
Bakit undefined?
2 over 0.
If we substitute, we would have 2 over 5 minus 5. The denominator is, so again, denominator is 0. Give us undefined. Huwag yung or 0 or undefined. Iba naman ang 0 sa undefined. So, our answer is undefined. Yun lang naman. Last pala, hindi ko magamit itong example. function natin ay p of x over x squared plus x squared minus 1 tapos yan. Nababasa niyo ba ang function p of x?
Sorry.
P of x to x squared minus 1 and then the denominator is x minus 1. Question, what is p of 1? Ito ang tanong.
Indeterminate, sir. Indeterminate.
Nagagayahan lang kayo eh. Sandali, nakayin ko lang nakita itong sagot ni Miss Dinamling. Negative 33/7, what's that? Ha? Uy.
Sir, wala po. Nagloko lang yung calculator ko.
Uy. Sige, pabigyan natin. What's the answer? Ha? Ano yung sagot?
Indeterminate, sir. 0 over 0.
0, sir.
Dahil,
0
substitute
divided by
1
0.
to the function, we would have an expression 0 over 0. And again, 1 squared minus 1 over 1 minus 1. Tama ba? If we substitute 1 doon sa right part ng ating function, ganyan yung itsura. And if we simplify this 1 squared is just 1, so 1 minus 1 is 0. Ang denominator din niya ay 0. So, anong isusulat natin? Sabihin natin na indeterminate. Tama. Now, you notice, I am not putting an equal sign between 2 over 0 and undefined. Ganyan lang yan. Actually, it's better if we say 2 over 0 is undefined because it's just a sentence telling that 2 over 0 is undefined. Hindi siya equal sign. Hindi dapat ganyan. Kasi, if you do that, mukhang sinasabi mo na this is a number equal to this one. Hindi naman sila talaga number kasi undefined sila. Indeterminate to be specific. So later on, ganito ang gusto kong makita. Just write indeterminate beside that form. Ayun, so I think we end here. Para the next time, we start with the types of functions.